Liam had never been to the countryside before. The city was all he knew: tall buildings, crowded streets, and the constant hum of cars. But when he received the small, yellowed envelope in the mail, something about it felt different. The handwriting was careful, almost delicate, and the words invited him to visit an old vineyard on the outskirts of a quiet town. The note promised secrets, history, and a hidden wine cellar. Liam's curiosity grew the moment he read it. Adventure had never been part of his ordinary life, but he liked the idea of finding something lost to time. He drove for hours along winding roads lined with trees, their leaves shaking softly in the wind. The air was fresh, smelling of soil and rain. Liam noticed how quiet everything was compared to the city. Birds called to one another from high branches, and the sound of a distant stream echoed through the valley. He felt lighter here, as if the world had slowed just enough for him to breathe. The vineyard appeared suddenly, with rows of grapevines stretching across the hills. Some were neat and green, while others looked tired, their leaves curling as if they had waited years for someone to notice them. Liam parked near a wooden gate that creaked when he opened it. He stepped inside carefully, taking in the beauty of the place. The vines created little tunnels between them, their shadows dancing in the afternoon sun. He wandered slowly, imagining the hidden cellar and what secrets it might hold. As Liam explored, he heard soft footsteps behind him. He turned and saw a young woman standing among the vines. She wore a simple dress, her hair tied back with a ribbon, and a notebook clutched in her hands. "Hello," she said, her voice gentle but curious. "Are you here for the vineyard too?"
Yes," Liam replied, smiling. "I got an invitation. I wasn't sure what I would find."
The woman smiled back.
"I'm Ava. I'm a historian. I study old places like this, especially ones with stories people have forgotten."
Liam felt a spark of excitement. He liked the idea of someone else sharing his curiosity.
"I'm Liam. I'm not really a historian, but I like discovering things, places people forget."
Ava nodded.
"Well, I can show you some of the vineyard.
There's more to it than the grapevines.
And,
there's a hidden cellar, though it hasn't been entered for decades."
Liam's heart beat faster.
"A hidden cellar?"
"Yes," Ava said, her eyes shining.
"They say it was used to store wine that was very special. Some of it might still be there, if it survived the years. But be careful, the cellar is tricky to find, and the path is old and uneven." The sky above them darkened suddenly, and a distant rumble of thunder rolled across the hills. Liam and Ava looked at each other, then at the horizon. "I guess the weather wants to help us find shelter," Ava said with a small laugh. Together, they hurried toward a small stone building at the edge of the vineyard. The walls were worn and covered in ivy, and the door was heavy with age. Liam pushed it open, and they stepped inside. The air was cool and smelled of earth and wood. A faint light filtered through small cracks in the walls, revealing rows of barrels covered in dust.
"This is it," Ava whispered, almost to herself.
"The entrance is somewhere here. We just have to find it." They walked slowly, carefully examining the walls. Liam ran his fingers along the cold stone, feeling the history beneath his hands. Ava bent over a small pile of fallen leaves and pushed them aside, revealing a wooden panel in the floor. She tapped it gently.
"Here," she said.
"I think this is it." With a little effort, Liam lifted the panel, and a narrow staircase leading downward appeared. Dust floated in the air, sparkling faintly in the soft light. A mixture of excitement and nervousness filled both of them. The hidden cellar was no longer a story or a rumor, it was real, and it waited silently below. Liam looked at Ava, and she looked back at him, their smiles reflecting the same thought: adventure had found them both. Together, they stepped toward the dark stairs, ready to uncover the secrets hidden beneath the vineyard. Outside, the first drops of rain began to fall, tapping softly on the stone roof above. And in that quiet, hidden moment, something unspoken began between them, an unspoken promise that this adventure, and perhaps the vineyard itself, would change their lives forever. The staircase creaked under Liam and Ava's careful steps as they descended into the hidden cellar. The air grew cooler with each step, carrying the faint scent of old wood, earth, and wine. Dust floated in the dim light that seeped from cracks above, making tiny golden sparks dance around them. Liam felt a thrill run through him. This place, forgotten for decades, seemed to hold a world of stories waiting to be discovered. When they reached the bottom, their feet met cold stone. The cellar was larger than they expected, a hidden chamber with rows of barrels stacked neatly against the walls. Some were marked with faded symbols, and a few still had remnants of wax seals. In the far corner, a small wooden desk stood under a cracked lantern, its surface covered with papers, journals, and old bottles. It felt like stepping into another century. "This is amazing," Liam whispered, moving slowly between the barrels. "It's like no one has been here for years." Ava knelt by the desk, carefully brushing the dust from one of the journals. "Some of these writings are from the original owner," she explained, her voice soft with reverence. "He kept notes about the vineyard, and about a secret love story he never shared with anyone." Liam's eyes lit up. "A real love story? Here?" "Yes," Ava said, opening the journal and reading aloud. "He wrote about a young woman he met in the village and how they would meet here in secret. They shared evenings tasting wine, talking about dreams, and planning a life together. But, he never married her." The story ended suddenly, as if the last pages were lost. Liam and Ava exchanged a look. There was something enchanting about the idea of a hidden love, preserved in dust and time. Liam felt a warmth in his chest, as if the cellar itself was welcoming them into its secret world. As they explored, they discovered more: old wine bottles with intricate labels, tools for pressing grapes, and even a faded painting of the vineyard as it might have looked decades ago. Liam carefully lifted a barrel and peered inside. A faint smell of rich wine lingered. "Some of this might still be drinkable," he joked, smiling at Ava. Ava laughed, the sound echoing softly against the stone walls. "Maybe, but let's not test it just yet. I think the magic here is in discovering it, not drinking it." They spent hours exploring the cellar together, moving from barrel to barrel, from journal to journal. Liam was fascinated by Ava's knowledge and gentle way of explaining history. Ava, in turn, enjoyed Liam's curiosity and easy sense of wonder. Each moment was simple, yet it brought them closer. They shared small smiles, fleeting touches when helping each other lift heavy barrels, and quiet laughter when they stumbled over dusty steps. At one point, Liam picked up a candle holder and handed it to Ava. "Careful, it's old," he said. Ava's hand brushed his, and for a second, neither moved. A small, shy smile passed between them. "Thanks," she whispered, a hint of warmth in her voice that went beyond the candle. The storm outside grew louder, rain pattering against the stone roof above. The cellar felt safe and secluded, a little world apart from everything else. Liam and Ava sat on an old bench near the desk, opening the journal together. They read passages aloud, laughing at the old-fashioned expressions, and sometimes falling silent to imagine the lives of the people who once walked these halls. As evening approached, Liam leaned back against the wall, glancing at Ava. The lantern light made her hair shine, and the curiosity in her eyes made him feel as if they were the first to truly understand this hidden place. "I never thought I'd find something like this," he said quietly. Ava looked at him, her smile gentle. "Neither did I. It's special. And it's even better because we're discovering it together." For a while, they simply sat, surrounded by barrels and history, letting the silence speak between them. The cellar was more than stone and wine, it was a place where stories lived, and now, slowly, a new story was beginning, one that belonged to them. Finally, Liam stood and offered his hand to Ava. "Shall we see what's deeper inside?" he asked, his voice warm with excitement. Ava took his hand, a spark of trust and anticipation passing between them. "Let's," she said. Together, they ventured further into the cellar, unaware that this hidden place was not only holding the past but quietly shaping a connection neither of them had expected. Outside, the rain continued to fall, but inside, warmth began to grow not from the weather, but from something far more remarkable, the start of a bond that might last a lifetime. The deeper they went into the cellar, the narrower the stone passages became. Liam held the small lantern high, its light flickering against the walls, revealing old signs carved into the stone. Ava followed closely, notebook tucked under her arm, her eyes wide with curiosity. Each corner seemed to hold a secret, and both felt as if the cellar itself was watching them, waiting for them to uncover its mysteries. They reached a small chamber that was partially blocked by fallen stones. The wall had cracked over time, and some bricks had tumbled onto the floor. Liam knelt and examined the rubble. "It looks like this passage hasn't been used in decades," he said. "We can probably clear it carefully and see what's beyond." Ava nodded, adjusting her grip on the notebook. "We have to be gentle. The structure is old, and I don't want anyone getting hurt." Together, they began moving the stones, taking turns to lift and slide them aside. Liam's hands were steady, but Ava's careful guidance ensured they didn't disturb anything dangerously. As they worked, they talked about their lives, sharing small stories. Liam told Ava about his job as an architect and his love for exploring old buildings, while Ava spoke about her passion for history and preserving forgotten places. Their conversation was easy, like old friends reunited, yet each felt a quiet excitement under the surface. At one point, Liam shifted a larger stone, and it slipped from his hands. It landed with a loud thud, and a small cloud of dust rose into the air. Both coughed and waved their hands, laughing at the sudden chaos. "Careful," Ava said, though her laugh betrayed how much she enjoyed the moment. "I am careful," Liam replied, smiling, brushing dust from his sleeves. Sometimes the stones have other plans." They continued their work, moving the last of the rubble together. When the passage finally opened, a narrow staircase led downward into darkness. Liam held the lantern forward. "Ready?" he asked. Ava hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Ready." Step by step, they descended. The air grew cooler, carrying a faint smell of earth and something faintly sweet. The stone walls here were rougher, and small cracks revealed the roots of plants above, winding like hidden veins. It felt as though the cellar had grown around itself, hiding secrets in every shadow. At the bottom, they found a room larger than they expected. Dusty barrels lined the walls, but in the center, an old wooden table stood under a beam of light from a tiny window near the ceiling. On the table were scattered notes, bottles, and a few tools used for tasting and storing wine. Liam carefully picked up a small bottle and smelled it. "The scent is still strong," he said. "Even after all these years." Ava laughed softly. "It's amazing how much history can survive. And now, we get to see it too." As they explored, Liam noticed Ava struggling to reach a journal on a higher shelf. Without thinking, he gently lifted her so she could reach it. Her hand brushed his for a second, and both felt a spark of warmth. Ava smiled at him, slightly embarrassed. "Thanks," she said softly. "Anytime," Liam replied, feeling a strange happiness he hadn't expected. They carefully opened the journal together, reading stories of the vineyard's past, long-forgotten traditions, recipes, and tales of the people who had lived and worked here. Liam and Ava laughed at some of the old methods and marveled at the care the vineyard's owners had taken. Each page they turned felt like another step into the lives of those who had come before them, and both realized how special it was to share the moment together. Hours passed quickly, and the storm outside began to fade. Rain still tapped softly on the stone roof, but inside, the cellar was quiet and warm. Liam and Ava paused to sit on an old bench, sharing water from a small flask. "I never thought I'd enjoy getting muddy and dusty so much," Liam said, smiling. "Me neither," Ava replied, nudging him gently. "But I think it's the company that makes it special." They sat in silence for a moment, letting the stillness surround them. The cellar had revealed its secrets, and in doing so, it had also revealed something between them: a growing trust, a gentle connection, and the first signs of something deeper. Finally, Liam stood and extended his hand to Ava. "Shall we explore the rest tomorrow? There's still so much to see." Ava took his hand, feeling a quiet thrill as their fingers intertwined. "I'd like that," she said. Together, they left the room, stepping carefully up the stairs. The hidden cellar had given them more than history; it had given them a shared adventure and the first steps towards something neither of them could have expected. Outside, the vineyard was calm, washed by the storm. But inside, a quiet warmth had begun to grow, ready to guide them on the next part of their journey. The next morning, the sun rose softly over the vineyard, painting the hills with gold and orange. Liam arrived early, carrying a small backpack with water, a few snacks, and a notebook. He paused at the wooden gate, taking a deep breath of the fresh countryside air. The vineyard felt alive in a way the city never had: the gentle rustle of leaves, the distant call of birds, and the faint smell of earth made him feel at peace. Ava was already there, kneeling beside a row of grapevines with her notebook open. When she saw Liam, she smiled, waving. "Good morning. Did you sleep well?" "Yes, better than I have in months," Liam replied, returning her smile. "I think the air here is magical." "Or maybe it's the company," Ava teased, her eyes twinkling. Liam chuckled, feeling warmth in his chest at her playful tone. They began their day by exploring a section of the vineyard they hadn't reached before. The vines were thick, their leaves green and lush. Ava showed Liam how to identify old grape varieties from the vineyard's past. "This one was planted nearly 100 years ago," she explained. "Some of these grapes were used in special blends, and they say the flavor was unforgettable." Liam listened carefully, fascinated by her knowledge. "You really know your way around history," he said. "It's amazing how much life this vineyard has seen." Ava smiled softly. "And it's even better when someone else cares about it too." Her words made Liam's heart skip a beat, though he didn't say anything aloud. They wandered toward the hidden cellar, stopping along the way to examine the old tools and wine presses scattered near the vines. Liam picked up a small wooden press and showed Ava how it worked, laughing when it squeaked in protest. Ava joined him, and together they tried pressing a few grapes, joking about their winemaking skills. "This is harder than it looks," Ava laughed, wiping her hands. "But I think we might have made something drinkable." "Maybe not today," Liam said, grinning, "but we're definitely learning." After their playful experiment, they returned to the cellar. The morning light streamed through the cracks in the walls, illuminating the dust in golden streaks. Liam and Ava explored a corner they hadn't reached the day before, discovering more old journals and bottles. One journal contained a detailed description of a special wine recipe, forgotten for decades. "Look at this," Ava whispered, excitement in her voice. "We could try recreating it." Liam's eyes lit up. "Yes. Let's see if we can follow the steps." They worked together, carefully reading the instructions and comparing them with the tools and ingredients they had. As they experimented, they laughed at their mistakes, celebrated small successes, and shared ideas. Their teamwork was seamless, and the playful energy between them grew. Every glance, every shared smile, felt charged with something more than friendship. At one point, Liam accidentally spilled a bit of grape juice on Ava's hand. She looked down, then up at him, and both laughed. "Careful," she said, though there was a softness in her tone. "I think it makes it more fun," Liam replied, gently wiping her hand with a cloth. Their fingers brushed again, and for a moment, neither moved. A quiet understanding passed between them, something gentle, yet undeniably real. By midday, the first batch of recreated wine was resting in small barrels. They sat together on a bench nearby, enjoying a small snack and watching the sunlight filter through the vines. Liam glanced at Ava, who was absorbed in her notebook. Her eyes sparkled when she smiled, and he realized he was starting to care for her more than he had expected. "You know," Ava said, looking up, "I never thought I'd enjoy restoring old recipes so much. It's the vineyard, of course, but it's also you." Liam felt a warm smile spread across his face. "I was thinking the same thing," he admitted quietly. For a while, they sat together in comfortable silence, the vineyard around them alive with the quiet hum of nature. The hidden cellar and the old recipes had brought them together, but it was the shared moments, the laughter, the small successes, the gentle touches that had begun to create something truly special between them. As the sun climbed higher, Liam stood and offered Ava his hand. "Shall we check the rest of the vineyard tomorrow?" he asked. Ava took his hand, her smile radiant. "I'd like that," she said. And together, they walked slowly among the vines, their connection growing stronger with every step, the vineyard quietly witnessing the beginning of something beautiful. The morning sun shone over the vineyard, but a small tension hung in the air. Ava arrived earlier than usual, notebook in hand, and immediately noticed something different in Liam's expression. He looked distracted, his usual bright energy subdued. She tried to smile, but her heart felt a little uneasy. "Good morning, Liam," she said softly, walking toward him. "Morning, Ava," he replied, forcing a smile. I have something I need to talk to you about." Ava felt a small knot in her stomach. "What is it?" Liam hesitated, searching for the right words. "I've been thinking about the vineyard, and about my work. I've been offered a project in the city, a chance to renovate some old buildings. It's a big opportunity, and, well, I might need to make some decisions about the vineyard too." Ava's heart sank. She had been imagining restoring the vineyard with Liam, not losing it to some city plan. "Decisions?" she asked carefully, trying to keep her voice steady. What kind of decisions? Liam looked down, fumbling with a loose strap of his backpack. I might need to sell part of it. Renovate some of the old buildings for modern use. It could help me, and it could save the vineyard financially. Ava felt a rush of disappointment and confusion. She had imagined this place as a shared project, a world they could explore together. Sell part of it, she whispered, barely holding back her frustration. But, the vineyard, the cellar, the history, it's all part of the magic. You can't just change that. I didn't mean to hurt you, Liam said quickly. I want to preserve it, but I also need to think about my future. I thought I could handle both. Ava shook her head, trying to hide the hurt in her eyes. I thought we were on the same side. I thought we wanted the same thing for this place. Liam stepped closer, his voice gentle. We do, Ava. I promise. I never meant to make you feel like I didn't care. This vineyard, this cellar, it's special to me, and so are you. Ava looked away, feeling a mix of emotions: hurt, confusion, and the warmth she felt for Liam. I thought this adventure was ours. And now I feel like maybe it's not. Liam reached out slowly, trying to take her hand, but she pulled back just a little. Ava, please. I want us to figure this out together. I never want to lose what we have here. For a moment, they stood in silence, the gentle rustle of leaves around them. The vineyard felt unusually quiet, almost as if it was holding its breath. Ava looked at Liam, seeing the sincerity in his eyes. She knew he wasn't trying to take the magic away, he was just unsure how to balance it with his responsibilities. I need some time, she said softly, finally letting her hand rest near his, but not holding it. I care about you, Liam. I care about this place. But I need to understand what this means for us. I understand, Liam replied, his voice steady, though a flicker of worry crossed his face. Take all the time you need. I'll wait. Ava nodded, her heart still heavy, but she felt a small thread of hope. She could see that Liam truly cared, and maybe, just maybe, they could find a way to preserve both the vineyard and what was growing between them. They spent the rest of the morning quietly exploring the vineyard, but the usual laughter and playful energy were subdued. Liam noticed how careful Ava was with every step, and he tried to match her pace, silently wishing he could ease the tension. Ava, for her part, tried to focus on the vines and the cellar, finding comfort in the familiar surroundings even as her mind wrestled with uncertainty. By afternoon, they returned to the hidden cellar. The cool, familiar air seemed to embrace them, and for a brief moment, the tension eased. Liam picked up a small journal and handed it to Ava. I thought you might want to read this, he said gently. Ava took it, noticing the care in his gesture. She opened the pages and smiled faintly. It wasn't the same as laughter-filled moments before, but it was a start, a small bridge between their worries and their connection. As the sunlight faded, Liam and Ava sat quietly among the barrels. They didn't need to speak, the unspoken understanding between them was enough. They knew the vineyard held challenges, but they also knew that if they could face them together, their bond could grow even stronger. And in that quiet cellar, surrounded by history and secrets, the warmth between them began to return, gentle, cautious, but very real. The next morning, Liam arrived at the vineyard with a quiet determination. He had spent the night thinking about Ava and the misunderstanding from the previous day. He wanted to show her that he cared, not just for the vineyard, but for her as well. Today, he was going to make sure she understood his intentions. Ava was already among the vines, examining a row of older grape plants. She looked up as Liam approached, her expression cautious but hopeful. "Good morning," she said softly. "Good morning," Liam replied, a small, sincere smile on his face. "I was hoping we could talk, properly, about everything." Ava nodded slowly. "Okay," she said. "I want to understand." Liam led her toward the hidden cellar, where they had shared so many discoveries and quiet moments. "I want you to see what I mean," he said. "This place, it matters to me as much as it matters to you. I never want to do anything that would take that away." Inside the cellar, Liam carefully lit the small lanterns, filling the space with a warm, gentle glow. Dust floated in the light, and the familiar scent of earth and wood made the air feel comforting. Ava looked around, her eyes softening as memories of their previous adventures here filled her mind. "I've been thinking," Liam began, "about the vineyard, the hidden cellar, and everything we've discovered together. I don't want to sell or ruin anything. I want to restore it with care, to preserve the history, the magic, and the stories. And I want you to be part of that with me." Ava's eyes widened slightly. She felt a warmth spread through her chest. You really mean that?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I do," Liam said, stepping closer. "I was worried before, yes, because I have responsibilities. But none of that matters if it means losing what we have here together. I don't want to make choices alone anymore. I want us to do this together, for the vineyard and for us." Ava felt a small smile break across her face. The tension from yesterday began to dissolve. She could see the sincerity in his eyes, the way he truly cared not just about the vineyard, but about her feelings. I understand now," she said softly. "I think I was afraid that the magic we've found here would disappear. But I see that it doesn't have to." Liam reached for her hand, gently holding it. "It won't disappear, Ava. Not if we're careful, and not if we face it together." Ava squeezed his hand, feeling a rush of relief and happiness. "Then, let's do it together," she said. For a while, they simply sat among the barrels and old journals, letting the silence be a part of their reconciliation. The cellar, which had witnessed their first laughter, their playful discoveries, and their quiet connection, now held the first steps of renewed trust. They decided to spend the day organizing the journals and bottles they had discovered. Liam carefully cleaned a few dusty shelves, while Ava catalogued the journals and noted important passages. They worked side by side, sharing small smiles and glances, their laughter returning softly. The earlier tension had vanished, replaced by a gentle warmth that seemed to grow with every shared task. At one point, Liam picked up an old bottle and handed it to Ava. Their fingers touched briefly, and neither pulled away. The simple contact felt like a promise, a quiet acknowledgement of the bond they had built. Ava's eyes met his, and she saw not only his care for the vineyard but his care for her as well. As the afternoon light filtered through the cracks in the cellar walls, Liam and Ava paused to sit on the old bench. "You know," Liam said quietly, "I think this place brought us together in ways I didn't expect. Not just the cellar or the vines, it's been everything we've shared." Ava nodded, a soft smile on her lips. "Yes. I feel the same. I think this vineyard is special, but so are the moments we've spent together." They sat in comfortable silence, holding hands, letting the quiet warmth of the cellar wrap around them. The miscommunication and worries of the past day felt distant now, replaced by understanding, trust, and a deep connection that neither had expected but both cherished. As the sun began to set outside, casting golden light through the vineyard, Liam and Ava stood together. The hidden cellar had not only preserved the stories of the past but had now become the beginning of their own story, one of care, respect, and a gentle love that had grown naturally and beautifully between them. The vineyard was alive with sunlight, the golden rays spilling over the hills and illuminating every vine. Liam and Ava arrived together, carrying tools, notebooks, and a quiet excitement that had settled between them over the past weeks. Today, they would continue the work that had brought them closer, not just restoring the hidden cellar, but shaping a future together. "Are you ready?" Liam asked, glancing at Ava with a small smile. "I'm ready," she replied, her eyes sparkling. "Let's see what we can do today." They began by organizing the barrels in the cellar, carefully wiping away dust and stacking them neatly. Each barrel held a story, a memory of the vineyard's past, and both felt a sense of pride in handling them with care. As Liam moved a heavy barrel, Ava lent a hand, their fingers brushing in a familiar, gentle way that made them both smile. Once the cellar was tidied, they turned their attention to the journals and old notes they had collected. Ava carefully catalogued each one while Liam helped clean and repair the wooden shelves. Every now and then, they would pause to read a passage aloud, laughing at the old-fashioned phrases or marveling at the vineyard owner's attention to detail. It was simple work, but the shared purpose created a quiet harmony between them. After a while, Liam suggested they try another experiment, recreating one of the old wines from the journal. Ava's eyes lit up. "I think we can do it. We already learned a lot from our first attempt." They set to work carefully measuring grapes, following instructions, and mixing ingredients with precision. Liam watched Ava as she concentrated, her brow furrowed slightly, yet a smile tugged at her lips. He felt a warmth in his chest. It wasn't just the vineyard or the wine, it was her presence, and the joy she brought to even the simplest tasks. When the first batch was complete, they placed it in small barrels to rest. Liam wiped his hands and leaned against a wall, watching Ava jot down notes. "You know," he said softly, "I think this place has given us more than just history. It's given us something special between us." Ava looked up, her smile gentle. "I've felt it too," she admitted. "It's more than the vineyard, more than the cellar. It's us." They shared a quiet moment, holding hands across the bench. The vineyard around them seemed to hum with life, the wind rustling the leaves like a soft song. Liam's heart felt light, filled with a sense of belonging he had never known in the city. Ava's eyes shone with trust and happiness. Together, they had created more than just restored barrels and journals. They had created a bond that felt steady, comforting, and exciting all at once. As the day went on, they continued their work outside the cellar. Liam showed Ava how to repair old trellises, while she carefully tended to the vines. They laughed when small mishaps happened, a leaning trellis, a stubborn vine, or spilled water, but each mistake only made their teamwork stronger. Every glance, every shared laugh, strengthened the quiet connection that had been growing since their first step into the hidden cellar. When the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange, Liam and Ava stood together among the vines. Their hands were intertwined, their faces glowing from the day's work. "I think we did well today," Liam said, his voice warm. "We did," Ava replied, resting her head lightly on his shoulder. "And I think this is just the beginning." They walked slowly through the vineyard, taking in the beauty around them. The hidden cellar had given them more than history, it had given them trust, laughter, teamwork, and the start of a gentle, growing love. Each step among the vines felt like a promise not just to the vineyard, but to each other. Finally, they reached the gate and paused, looking back at the vineyard bathed in sunset light. "We'll keep it safe," Liam said quietly. "For the history, for the cellar, and for us." Ava smiled, squeezing his hand. "Yes. Together." And as they walked down the path hand in hand, the vineyard seemed to whisper around them, carrying the warmth of the day, the echoes of laughter, and the promise of a future built on care, respect, and a love that had grown quietly, patiently, and beautifully in the hidden corners of a long-forgotten wine cellar. The adventure that had brought them together was far from over, but one thing was certain: whatever the future held, Liam and Ava would face it together, their hearts connected by the vineyard, the cellar, and the quiet magic they had discovered in each other.